No one is telling you this today. There are a few things to keep in mind today. Important economic data is coming out. Today, we'll take a detailed look at all the news, and most importantly, how you can maximize your profits now and when you should consider opening a potential trade. So I'd say let's not waste any time. Today is going to be exciting. Today is going to be volatile. I'll see you after the intro. Now new, Uptrend VIP Trading, your opportunity to copy the signals of two pro traders for free. They managed to grow an account from $4,000 to $30,000 within 2 months. The results in the group are also impressive. All you need for this is a deposit of $100 into your BingX account. You can find all further information below in the description. Let's start with the crypto heat map. You can tell that things are cooling off right now with Bitcoin and the altcoins. You can also see it from my clothing. So it seems the weather is actually quite indicative. After all, if we take a look here, Bitcoin is currently just below 102K. I'm going to throw out the prediction right now that we might even drop below 100K today. We'll take a look at that together in a moment. XRP is correcting, Ethereum is correcting. Well, there was also a massive upward trend just now. Many are now talking about a possible altcoin season. We'll also take a look at that together in just a moment. But before we do that, a big thank you for the clicks on yesterday's video. 1,500 views, 143 likes. And guys, let's please work together now to finally get rid of these stupid scam comments down below. Unfortunately, I can't change it. I'm already blocking all possible keywords. I try to block these accounts, but the very next day, new ones just show up again. But how can you help boost the video now? Well, for one, feel free to leave a comment down below. What's your opinion? And secondly, you can leave a free like here. Costs nothing and takes no time at all. You have no idea how much that helps boost growth and, above all, the algorithm. And if you're new here and wondering, okay, Daniel, that's nice, but what do you actually do? This is all about how you can make money. Specifically, it's the combination of current news, which is extremely important, and how that in turn is crucial for trading. So it's the combination of both. That means you get daily trading signals, honest, fact-based, neutral, multi, without any hype. And the same goes for the news. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and subscribe for free now. And activate the bell so you don't miss any important information. A warm welcome to all the newcomers. Sintion and now let's continue. Let's also take a quick look at the gold price. Gold has also corrected and has just reached a support area again. Now let's see whether it holds or if it drops down another level, which could very well be within this range here. Is it also somehow logical? This tariff policy has absolutely played into gold's hands, and now that this topic is fading a bit, well, it's exactly the risk assets that are in demand again, and an incredible amount of money is now flowing back into the Nasdaq and similar markets, which of course means that money is being withdrawn from elsewhere. And that brings us straight to the pressing question. So are we now seeing an altcoin season? Because the altcoin dominance has really dropped significantly here. So all in all, we can say that it has also decreased here. And at the end of the day, we are still, in fact, even if it were to drop down to, let's say, just under 60%, we are still in an uptrend. So this can't be compared to what we're seeing here. So, my personal opinion, yes, it's possible that altcoins might perform a bit better here again, but we still don't have an overheated Bitcoin. I'm about to show you there are economic data releases today that are extremely important. Today, things are really happening one after another. That's why volatility is guaranteed this afternoon. Therefore, as I said, personally, I would just keep calm for now and wait things out. Yes, the altcoins are following along, but an altcoin season right now? No. Why are the altcoins following along? Well, we can also see that here in the fear and greed index. By the way, the market makers know this too. When greed goes overboard here, people jump into the market out of FOMO, at least the retail investors who don't know any better. And as a result, we can definitely see some nice wicks to the downside from time to time, which liquidate exactly these zones. And you can see how quickly things shot back up here. And you can also feel it in the clicks on the videos. You notice that retail investors aren't really jumping in strongly just yet. They'll probably start buying in here again and then panic sell. When we end up somewhere down in this zone, once again following the classic principle, buy high, sell low. And finally, regarding the topic of altcoin season, yes or no? Well, I'd say the picture here makes it pretty clear. We're not in a pure Bitcoin season right now, but Bitcoin is definitely performing stronger than the altcoins. Here's another chart we should definitely keep an eye on. Bitcoin versus the US dollar. We can see that the US dollar is currently gaining a bit of strength again, which generally tends to mean that Bitcoin could weaken as a result. So, yes, you can still see a weakness here. We can't really talk about that right now. I'll show you this in TradingView in just a moment as well. You can see it very clearly here. So, weakness and correction. And are we out of an uptrend? We can't really say that right now. This is a normal process during a bull run where we might set new highs. Now, just briefly on a topic that has definitely caused quite a stir in the past few days. In my opinion, there has also been some misinformation, like the topic of Trump supposedly making billions from a deal with Saudi Arabia, Dry, and World Liberty Financial being involved. Well, I haven't found anything about that. Feel free to write in the comments if you have different information or what your general opinion on this is. Ultimately, it's about an investment, hold on tight, of $600 billion US, where Saudi Arabia is investing in the USA. This is about diversifying the economy, and once again, about Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. So that means the investments are going into various sectors, whether it's defense, energy, infrastructure, or technology. It gets particularly interesting because we're mainly talking about AI and infrastructure here. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on, considering the major plans they're working on. And it's also interesting that Saudi Arabia and the USA are now working together on this. And that has clearly had a positive effect on the market, especially on the S&P 500 and also on the Nasdaq. You can follow all of this closely. But as I said, please don't make a bigger deal out of this than it actually is. But what could really spoil the soup for us, to stick with the metaphor, is today. Especially from 2:30 p.m. onwards, because the market makers know this as well. And I can definitely imagine that this will bring some volatility. We might see a few more wicks to the downside. We'll take a look at that together in a moment. But there's a lot of power here. So we have the producer price index on a monthly basis down here. And then we have the initial SITS jobless claims. All of these are indicators that are important for inflation. Then we also have the manufacturing index. Another question. And then if you think, okay, that's it at 2:30 p.m., no, 10 minutes later at 2:40 p.m., Powell is also giving a speech. So, congratulations and sunshine all around. Things could go either way now, but let's take a look at it together. So let's move straight on to the crypto trading setup. By the way, just a quick note about BingX. If you say you want to trade professionally, but you're missing the signals or the knowledge, we are working together with BingX in an official partnership with Chelsea. And it's fair to say that with us, everything is transparent in our group. 2 professionals. And with that, let's move straight on to the crypto trading setup. Here, we're intentionally working with BingX, by the way, the official partner of Chelsea. And what's important here is if you say, I want to trade, but I don't know how it works, which signals I should follow, etc. I've put together a team of professional traders who will provide you with these signals completely free of charge. You already saw it in the intro. That means if you're interested, you can transparently track everything in the group as well. The guys are super successful, and you can take part in it. So in this sense, if you're up for it, check out the description. And with that, let's get started with the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. This is just a dream come true for all market makers. So we can see how the liquidity is being picked up beautifully here. This could also turn out to be a pretty glorious day, especially with the economic data coming in. We can also assume that even more will build up here, because now a lot of people are definitely jumping in with leverage, ideally with their maximum capital. Well, but there are also zones down here that should be quite attractive as well. Especially here on the higher time frames, for example on the weekly chart, you can see what has built up down here. And here we're in the range between 100,650, but it also goes down to just under 9,980 and 90,000. And if we zoom out a bit further, please don't have a heart attack, then we're talking about a range in here around 93,300, where over $500 million is ready for liquidation. So yes, friends, this is wild. We also have corresponding vector candles in there. However, let me just add, except for maybe a small wick below, I personally can't imagine that we'll drop that far today. But just below the 100K mark, I could definitely see that happening. Let's start here with the 15-minute view, and I can show you this quite well. So you see, we have various support areas here that have already been abandoned. So things are already moving pretty rapidly right now. And you can tell we clearly have a downtrend here, which is starting to feel like a kamikaze slope when you look at this. So overall, clearly the 15-minute chart doesn't look very healthy at the moment, but that's actually positive for traders. You can definitely secure some exciting entries right now. What's getting interesting now? And we're heading straight for it. I've marked this red area here, which I already drew in yesterday. That would be a strong support area and hopefully also resistance. Because you can see there's very little trading here, so things can move pretty quickly since the good zone right around this blue line where we say there's more trading activity and support, that area has now definitely been left behind for good. And that means the next thing coming up is this support area, which is going to be interesting. If that doesn't hold, then things could move very easily. So it could all happen very, very quickly. If you look here, especially, there was almost no trading at all. And that lines up exactly with this area. So that means we could fall just as quickly here as we rose before. And that means we would then be within this range, and that would bring us a step closer to the situation. So at the lowest point, we'd be at around 19,200, give or take 150, somewhere in that area. And yes, as I said, if that doesn't hold either, then things could drop even faster, and we'd basically be inside this support area. That would be the next thing that could catch us. So you can see it here as well. It's just covered by this volume area. It's still okay here, but then it could drop down pretty quickly, and then we'd have the next support zone here. And in the worst case, we'd end up somewhere around 97,000, give or take. Right now, I find it pretty hard to imagine that we'll crash all the way down here. I don't really believe that. But I would definitely keep an eye on that 97,000 level. Given today's volatility, that would definitely be conceivable. Here, just briefly, is the 4-hour chart again, and you can see it clearly, especially where heavy trading has taken place. We're right now exactly in this critical zone. If this doesn't hold, it could drop down here pretty quickly. That would also bring us out almost exactly at the Fibonacci level. So we'd be looking at around 97,500, give or take. Of course, there are still support zones in between. We shouldn't overlook those. But as I said, you can see it. It basically lines up the same way. So if you look at Fibonacci here, this level at 97,470 is definitely something I'd keep an eye on. I'll just go ahead and draw that in now. Let's see if we can actually talk about this in tomorrow's update and say that we've reached this value. And here we can see the support zones. It's also possible that we'll see a rejection to the upside now. Clearly, that can happen. But as I said, we know, and the market makers know, how volatile things can get today. And they can definitely take advantage of this by really pushing the price down hard so that we briefly dip down here and then continue upward. That could also bring fresh capital into the market. Let me quickly touch on XRP as well, since there are a lot of questions about it. So if you take a look at this 3-day time window, you could say that a lot has built up there. It also makes sense because quite a few shorts have come in here. However, if we take a broader look at the 2-week view, there's also quite a bit down here. And if Bitcoin really does continue this trend and drops below the 100K mark, well, then it's quite conceivable that this area down here could be targeted again, which might also make for an interesting entry point. Let me quickly show you the 4-hour view as well. So, as we can see here in the bigger picture, the uptrend was clearly broken here. Yes, there are repeated retests of the line, but still, not much is really happening right now, so we'll just have to wait and see. The next major support level If this one here doesn't hold, which, by the way, is currently a battle for support, because if you look at this, we already had a move in exactly this zone before. We had a large area here. That means things are getting interesting now. If that doesn't hold, you can drop down a level. That will be fairly soon, around $2.40. If it keeps dropping from there, then we'd be in the next range. That would put us at about $2.33, give or take. And if there's no support here either, well, then it could quickly drop back into this area here. As I said, I would keep an eye on what happens with Bitcoin for now. I also want to mention, apart from our pro traders, if they're putting out some scalp trade with an altcoin, I personally would be very cautious right now about doing anything with XRP, Ethereum, or whatever else. The volatility of Bitcoin alone today is enough. Maybe just focus on that for now. And since we're on the topic, Ethereum, one last look at it here. You can see liquidity is also being beautifully snatched up here. And now the big question remains whether we'll see a trend reversal to the upside here or if it's going to drop another level lower. Now let's take a quick look at the 4-hour view. All in all, it has to be said, Ethereum, surprise, surprise, is actually holding up really well right now. Especially at this level, we can see this is support. There was another test here, and here. So this could very well be a solid support, or in the best case, a rejection to the upside. If this doesn't hold now, then we could move into this range, or rather into the range. And if that doesn't hold either, then things could get a bit nasty because we could slide down here again pretty quickly. But overall, things aren't looking too bad at the moment. Especially if we take a look here, the next major level would be this one, because as we can see, there was little trading here. That means if this zone here is sustainably broken through, we could find ourselves up here again pretty quickly. And then we'd be at around $3,200, give or take. That's it for today. I'm really curious. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a free like. And, of course, write a comment below. Let's completely tear apart these scam comments. Otherwise, in closing, if you're interested in VIP trading, but say, I have no idea how it works, I've recorded an unlisted video explaining how the BingX platform works. That is, from the technical side of things. Feel free to share it, leave a like there as well, write a comment about whether it was helpful for you, if you're missing anything, whatever. With that, I'll see you tomorrow for the next update. Until then, all the best. Ciao.